Frak, this podcast, come and listen to us talk about Battlestar Galactica. It's a show that we're talking about. Hello, interwebs, and welcome to the Frak, this podcast. I am your ventricular host, Jesse Gender, and I am joined, as always, by...
It's Vera. How was your flight home?
It was really good. Yes, for listeners. So actually, I should tell about the other story on the flight, I should say.
Ooh.
So yeah.
Well, which one? Your flight in, or was there a
Flight
story
in.
on your flight?
No,
okay,
no,
yeah,
no,
go
no,
ahead.
no,
I know this one.
Listeners, just to give context, this past weekend, as of this recording, I was in Vermont teaching a weekend course at Goddard College, which is in Plainsfield, Vermont, which is about, what, an hour away from where you live, Vera?
About 40 minutes.
Yeah. So you and I met up a few times. Like, we got lunch together a couple times, and then I actually got to see you finally perform burlesque for the first time, which was amazing. That whole show was really, really good. The theme of the show was alimony, which is a wild theme.
And alimony, the Moni part spelled M-O-A-N-Y.
Oh, of course. That goes
naturally.
But yeah, it was great.
I need to ask you a question, because since you were there, you met my boyfriend.
Yes, I did. In full Joker makeup.
Yes. I'm going to ask you this and give me your honest answer. How old do you think he is?
Oh. I mean, I thought he was younger. I probably thought he was slightly younger than me, so probably like late 20s was my guess.
Oh, shit. He's 33.
Oh, so he's my age.
Yes. He's your age. But like he asked like one of the performers who didn't know him that well, like how old she thought he was. And she went, "Oh, I don't know, like 25." And I'm over here and I laugh at first, and then I realize, oh fuck, what do people think of me when they see me with him? They think I'm dating a 20-something. God damn it.
I will be honest, when I saw that, I was like, I wasn't gonna say shit, but I was like, all right, it's fine, you're both adults, it's consenting.
I mean, yes, it's fine. Like, that's not automatically bad, but like I'm dating someone in their mid-30s, but he looks like he's in his 20s, and it's only now hitting me how that fucking looks. God damn it.
I will admit, I did clock that. I'm like, yeah, whatever, it's fine, but it just wasn't who I thought you were dating in terms of like energy. Like, nearing 33 makes total sense to me. He seems really, like, we only talked briefly, and he's very cool. His performance was fucking great. Like,
oh, he's an incredible performer.
And I say this, let me say this into it. Like, everyone that performed that night was really good, except for Vera. She was awful.
Naturally.
No, she was great. You were my second favorite performance after your boyfriend. So everyone was great, but your boyfriend was like amazing. And to be fair, he was also doing a Joker Batman themed dance, so it was a little bit playing to me in the crowd. But just incredibly talented performance. So very, like, it had a narrative. The dance moves were so good. It was really funny because he was doing Joker, and then there was a Batman on stage too who was like tied up that like was like in a wheelie chair. So like the whole joke was like Joker was forcibly dancing for Batman, but Batman could like wheel around away. It was very, very fun. So
the Batman who has requested to remain anonymous, but I can't say this, like the Batman made like every prop of that. Like the Batman made his own headpiece for that, and he also made the tearaway rope that was holding him down.
That's amazing, because that rope was great. It was very, very good. Yeah, the whole show was fantastic. So someone ate Vaseline at some point.
Yeah, that was Katniss. Katniss Everqueer, who it is a rare number from her that doesn't have a splash zone and significant cleanup afterwards.
That's surprising. Anyways, so show was great. You and I seeing each other was great. The classes went really, really great. And not only my class, which was about like Star Trek as it relates to American history, which was really fun, but there was like I took a community organizing class, like about like how to community organize, taught by this guy who's like organized coal communities in Tennessee for many years. And all the other classes were all very like resistance and like community building, organizing themed in some way. So it was a really, really great weekend. I really loved it. Shout out to Adam Myers, who is also a YouTuber who put all that together. He was sort of the one orchestrating the whole event. So shout out to him. I think you might actually listen to the podcast. Adam, if you're listening, love to you as well. But I know he watches my channel. I don't know if he listens to the podcast. But all that being said, the most interesting thing that happened to me this weekend was none of that. But it was on the flight to Vermont. So to get to Vermont, I left from LAX, Los Angeles airport, and I took a trip to Philadelphia and was going to catch a connecting flight. So I got on my flight to Philadelphia, and I started to notice like, huh, I see a few air marshals here. I've never seen an air like I maybe have seen like one air marshal ever, and I saw several on this flight. I'm like, huh, that's weird. Sat down on my spot, looked out the window, and I saw a bunch of black cars coming up, like clearly some sort of state official cars coming up.
Tinted
To
windows,
Yeah, the
whole
whole
thing.
thing up to the plane. And my immediate thought was like, oh fuck, is it gonna be? I mean, like my thought was like going to like, is it gonna be JD Vance or whatever, or like some sort of right wing politician? And I'm like, oh God, like, am I gonna have to end up on a no fly list because I'm gonna go up and like try to punch him? Like I can't, I've already I've told Erin, my partner, like if I'm ever in a room with Elon Musk, she's going to have to bail me out because I will go punch him. Like, I'm sorry, it's just going to happen. Unless I think I'm going to literally get shot for doing so, I'm going to punch him. So yeah, so like I was like, fuck, am I gonna end up on a no-fly list? Like, what's about to happen? And then out of the car comes Joe Biden, like President Joe Biden leaves the car. Who, to be fair, I am also not a big fan of, but like
No.
on a different level than like Trump and JD Vance. Um, but like he gets on the plane and I look up and there's like Secret Service. I have pictures of all of this and I'll send them maybe to Vera so she can put it in the video. Make you edit it. But like Secret Service was like standing at the first class section and everything. So like Biden gets on the plane and is like, I was riding with Biden. Like people on the plane were recording and clapping, and I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to clap for him. You know, he's still a war criminal. But it was a fascinating experience. So that was
Yeah.
the most interesting thing that happened over the weekend. So
I remember you told me about that. I remember thinking, it's probably not worth getting on a no-fly list just to try and get up to him and say, the state of the world is only partially your fault.
my favorite thing that happened out of this is Lady Emily, who's a fellow trans YouTuber friend. She because I posted about this on Blue Sky. And she said, try to get him to sign up for Nebula. It'd be the funniest thing you could do. And I was like, what's my sales pitch? Hey, do you really like watching video essays that talk about your complicity in war crimes? Then have I got a streaming service for you, Joe?
You want to look into the eyes of a bunch of people who are vaguely politically aligned with you, but also kind of hate you? Do you want
Yeah.
to do that
Yeah.
for $100 a year?
Yeah. It's like, would be funny to get him to sign up for a lifetime subscription. Maybe he'll get to use it for 3 months or so.
Oh,
Sorry, that was an ageist joke. I apologize. That was a dark. That one may have been too far. That may have been too far.
God.
Uh, anyways,
How just like hypothetically, how funny would it be if Trump drops dead before him?
that would be
Especially
hysterical.
especially for all the shit about like how Biden's too old, which he was, for the record. I actually didn't disagree with that, but it was also true of Trump.
Yes.
aside from everything else wrong with Trump.
I
But
mean,
like,
so many of our politicians in America are also
oh
too
yeah,
old for their
yeah,
jobs.
absolutely. But like just for the bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
it'd be
Do
funny.
it. Do it for the lulz.
Come on, Joe,
uh,
hang in there for the bit.
well. That certainly would be a 6 of 1 joke. Nope, there's nothing here. There's no transition there.
I don't even have to try and throw you off. You just abandoned it halfway through.
Yeah, no, that was terrible. But we are talking about comments on the episode 6 of 1. Most of the comments I will just put up right here are people pointing out that I got a good transition in. So that's a lot of the comments from people. Um, Let's see. Oh, let's see. This Cisco is linear says, "Bring back the clicker, LMAO." Also glad to see Jessie finally taking full advantage of the podcast having video now by featuring her cat. Because I did get you to laugh with Kipo, my cat.
You did. I keep forgetting the clicker is currently up in my bedroom because it was being used for other purposes. I keep forgetting to bring it back down to the office.
Yes. Arsenal says, "I don't know that Jessie won as much as her cat did. The cat's expression would have broke me because they looked so upset at being a prop." So yeah, I will say Kipo was purring at that moment. Kipo like has like if you get him at a certain angle, he has that grumpy cat face, but he actually really loves being picked up. He like will come up and meow to be picked up. He's all of our other cats hate being picked up. Like you pick them up, they want off, but like he actually asks to be picked up a bunch. So he enjoys it. Um, let's see. I'm trying to. Where's other ones here? You got people saying Team Expanse for us to watch Expanse next. Just putting that in your brain. Um,
It's
uh,
an option.
it is an option. Uh, 255AD said, and this is actually related to the episode, "I don't think they're counting Boomer, meaning the Cylons, as having a whole vote. I think they're just treating her as a tiebreaker." So kind of only
Yeah,
works
some
because Trekkie Raccoon points out like kind of only works if there's an even amount of each model, which we don't necessarily know to be the case. Could be, but doesn't necessarily
yeah.
seem true.
Like I didn't take it as that. I mean, it would work if it was
Mm,
that. I I took it as a case of since they all vote in a unified way anyway, you treat it as just one vote, but once if somebody broke away, which again they had no precedent for, they're like, well, we're not gonna say that gets overridden by every other version of that model, so that's its own vote. That was just kind of how I took it.
yeah.
Which granted has its own weird wonkiness, but like it's a weird wonky situation.
Yeah, because Fractometry says, "I think what's implied is that each individual Cylon gets a vote, and there's an equal number of individuals for each model. So when 3 models vote and 4 and 3 models vote against, that could be 3,000 versus 3,000. When Boomer votes against her model, it becomes 3,001 to 2,099. But that doesn't account for Athena leaving. Did they make a new A to even out the numbers? I guess they might, since sometimes Cylons die and did not resurrect, so they might create new individuals to keep the balance." And yes, the show definitely has a ruling class problem that's never seriously discussed. The Cylons are the only ones upholding democracy. So,
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I'll mention is like we don't know it, so boy, how do I explain this? We know that they have the resurrection ship, so they can stick them in a new body. We don't know where brand new bodies are made
mm-hmm.
because it's never implied that the resurrection ships can make a fresh body. The way they were depicted is that they're just heavily stocked with new
Mm-hmm.
bodies. We actually don't know where they are made and if and when these things have been able to be restocked.
Yeah, yeah. They'd never really go into that, presumably on the Cylon homeworld, but who the hell knows?
Yes, which we know literally nothing about.
Yep. Well, let's escape from this discussion of the comment section and head on over to the episode we're talking about today, titled "Escape Velocity." That wasn't half bad. A little strain, but not terrible.
It's about 2/3 bad.
Yeah. I don't know why the way you said that just was so funny to me, but it was very
I
funny.
don't know why either. I'll take it.
Oh, it was just yeah, it was about two because I was like, maybe kind of. It's like it was about 2/3 bad. I don't know. It was just so matter of fact.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right, let us get into our recap of this episode. We start off with Chief sort of giving a speech at a funeral service for Callie inside a sort of temple, makeshift temple on the Galactica. He's talking, giving a little speech to and it sounds like it's a ritual speech. It's not something that he sort of came up with on his own that's been personalized. It's like, I couldn't keep yourself, blood and light are gone. Lords of Cobalt, as many men have as many as verified as mortal men. Like, it seems like it's a prescribed thing that he's reading. Um, During this, though, Roslyn is sitting with Adama, and she says, I like this service. And he's like, Adama says something, he's like, it's not really for me. She said, well, I want you to know what I like. With the
Yeah.
implication being like, this is the type of funeral service you'll want when she dies from cancer. So
Yes.
there's a few other things, like someone says, why did they do these things at dawn? Sort of like which is an interesting little wrinkle. Like, oh, they do the funeral services at dawn is like part of the service. Seems to be a ritual thing. But
That's especially interesting because if you're in space, dawn is a completely constructed concept.
yeah, this was I think that's interesting. I mean, this was talking about shithead Andy Weir, but this is a problematic book for how he depicts Muslim characters. I know that criticism, but one thing I did find interesting about Andy Weir's book Artemis was in that like the Muslim characters still pray towards Mecca, so they had to like have and they were on the moon. So it was like they had to have like a harness that would like angle at different times of day to like where it would be, which I found to be very, very interesting. Again, it's a white dude who has proven himself to be unaware of his privilege and his nonsense. So that book
Yeah.
has many problems, but that in particular I did find kind of interesting. So
Hmm.
anyways, so it's just like the keeping of rituals that are like planet bound that make no sense in space.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, obviously the concept of dawn still exists insofar as like the early hours of the morning, but like dawn as a literal meaning of like the sun is coming up, not a thing.
However, as everyone's to leave the service, that everyone sort of comes up and gives condolences to the chief. And when Tori and Tigh get up there, Chief like sort of grabs their arm and sort of like is like making like an emotional reaction moment to the two of them based on the fact that they're all Cylons together. So as they leave the room, Ty's like whispering to himself, like, "What the frack was that? Get us all killed." So, yeah.
Yep.
We then cut to what I'm sure is going to be your favorite storyline of the episode, which is we have Caprica 6, and Tigh comes into the viewing room outside of her cell, watching her, and he sort of says to the two people that are posted watching it, said, what is it up to today? And they sort of like talk about, oh, just normal, da 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 da. And someone says, fracking toaster line, to which Tigh, without them seeing, sort of has a reaction to now,
Mhm.
because he is himself a fracking toaster. Um, and
Hard R, Jesse, for God's sake.
hey, if you can use slurs against what's her face, the AI fucking actress or
Oh,
whatever.
for God's sake.
I heard that in your so listeners, Avira released, probably by the time you're hearing this is already released,
It'll be out by the time this goes up.
a video about like how AI is used in fiction versus real life. It's a really good video, but you mentioned that people were like taking offense at you using like a term to like what would be considered a slur term against that like AI actress Tori Norwood or whatever the hell her name was.
Tilly Norwood.
Tilly Norwood. Which is like, fuck that. Tilly Norwood is an it, not a person. Whatever.
Yeah. That was such a weird experience. But yes, check out that video if you haven't already, to know what the hell any of that
Yes.
is about.
Which is distinct from this because Caprica 6 is clearly a person. So
Yes,
yes.
it is.
Wow. Wow.
It is
Wow.
different. You started by saying this is different, and I'm agreeing. Yes, it
No,
is.
I said Caprica 6 is a person, and you
No,
said
before
it
that,
is.
before
It
no, that
is.
was what you said
No,
after.
no, it's definitely
The first
what
thing you
happened.
fucking said
You
was this
heard
is different.
her
Caprica
biggest
6 is a person. So I said yes, it is to the
Uh-huh.
statement that this is different. Fuck you.
Y'all heard it. She's a bigot.
God
Anyways, moving
damn it.
on.
I'm gonna get
Oh,
canceled on this episode for so many goddamn reasons. I'm dating a 24-year-old, apparently, and
yeah. Anyways,
now
uh,
this. Ah,
anyways, Ty goes in to see Six, and he sort of tells her, "Well, your request to see Hera has been denied." And she says, "What? You come all the way down here to tell me that again? You know what's new? You know?" And then we start to see that Ty sees Six as Helen, like Helen in her body, like Helen like wearing her clothes and everything. So he's having like visions of Helen as Six. Um, and this sort of Helen Six says, "You come here every day, but you never ask questions anymore. Is this something you want from me? Something you need?" This Helen Six comes towards him and he goes, "Stay back." And he says it to Six. Now it's Six, and he runs out of the room. I'm gonna just note this now so that I don't have to constantly reiterate it. When he sees Helen, everything that Helen says, at least it's implied to be, is still the same thing that Six is saying. He's just
yes,
seeing Helen, which will become a
yes.
point later on. But it's not like he's having a vision of something completely different and like coming back to when Six says something. So
In contrast to something else that's gonna happen in another
yeah.
scene, because sure, why should it be consistent?
Well, I mean, it's a diff. I mean, this is
I
unique.
know it's a different character, but like it's clearly that you cannot help but draw parallels between two Cylon characters who are hallucinating characters doing something other than what they are doing or being something other than what they are being and not draw some parallels with, and they work in the exact opposite way.
Mm-mm. Well, we then have Chief Tori and Ty going to meet Chief in his room. Chief is kind of basically like completely what's the word? I'm blanking on the
Zoned
word.
out,
Zoned out, but there's when you're like numb to the world. What's the why am I blank?
apathetic.
No, it's not that. God, I'm blanking on the word. Please in the comments tell me. I mean like someone who's like actively like just like completely like feeling nothing from based on trauma. And I'm trying to remember what the word was. Blanking on it right now. Anyways,
Okay.
they come into the room and they basically go like, "Are you gonna deal with your kid?" Because the kid's just crying and he's not really doing anything about it. And they sort of ties like, "What was that at the service this morning?" And they start talking. It's like, "Well, you think Callie killed herself because of you?" And it's like, "Yeah, I think." And he says to Tori, that she thought we were having an affair. And he's like, "I don't even know what I am anymore. Wish my memories are real. I don't even know if I've had one action in my life that isn't programmed." And Tori says, "You're perfect. You don't need guilt. You're made to be perfect." To which I think Ty says that more Baltar's crap. It might have been Chief who said that. One of the two of them said it. And she just goes, "Well, you just live without guilt. Shut it down." And Chief goes, "No, that wasn't the deal. Ty, you said it. Like, be the man you want to be until the day you die." But Tori is sort of on this kick of like, we're not the same as humans. We're stronger. And Ty sort of agrees with the chief, says this is what a man feels when this happens, like you sort of numbing yourself to the world. It's human. It's not going to end anytime soon. It'll be there every day. You'll see her every day, clearly alluding to him seeing Helen as well without them knowing. And he's like, "Be a man, chief. Feel what you got to feel, but don't risk us." Because he sort of gets frustrated at like sort of his own memory of Helen. And then Tori says, "Just think about what we are." So it's seeing the kind of different reactions that the three of them are having to being Cylons.
You missed my favorite detail.
Yeah.
So, as you noted, Nikki is crying, and the chief kind of goes, he probably needs to be changed, and makes no motion to do anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
And Ty goes over to change the baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually really liked, and like no attention is drawn to it. Like he does a little bit of a side, like he like, but it didn't come across like he thinks the woman should do it. It's like it's not my kid, but fine,
Yeah.
sort of a
Yeah.
thing.
More
But yeah,
frustrated that he had to do it at all, not that he as a
yeah,
man had to do it. So
exactly.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
like tiny thing. I'm like, oh, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, especially like the military guy doing that. It's like, all right, gotta do the military. All right, another job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like a background sound detail that a little bit after he goes over to go deal with that the baby crying stops being a background sound element. So
Hmm.
he also clearly also knew how to soothe the baby.
Yep, yep. We then cut over to Baltar's cult. I'll just call them that for now. And
Yeah.
yeah, and he's sleeping, and Tori goes up to him, and she starts pulling out his hair. And he reacts by saying "gods" when she does that, and she said, "Oh, I thought there was only one." And then she sort of comes on to him, being like, "Oh, well, there's a mix between, if I give you pain by pulling at your hair at the same time I pleasurable touch." And her hand goes down to his junk. It's like mixing pain with pleasure. The inputs get crossed, the wires get crossed or whatever. Um, and she starts to lick him. And he goes, "I think I preferred it when you cried," because she's very much coming on to him.
Mhm.
Um, and she's like, "If you sin, then God forgives you. Must consecrate the sin. If you become one with God, you can never do any wrong." But then Balthar sort of reacts to this like, "No, that would imply that we're all perfect." Um, but then, as he says that, a group comes in that starts like these sort of like Mad Maxian looking people, wearing armor and
Yeah,
stuff.
I wrote down commando wannabes.
Yeah, they come in, throw gas canisters, and they start raiding Baltar's cults, beating people up. And they said, "We're looking for Gaius Baltar. We're looking for him." And obviously, they don't find him in time before security is sent down. And Baltar also hides. Like, he hides while Tori was out in the open, and Tori sort of gives him a look. So,
Yep. Something that got noted on an earlier episode that I think I the thing was I actually realized this while I was editing the podcast where he made this mistake. So when he first slept with that one member, and then later he goes to the and
the bathroom or whatever.
gets shaved and everything, it's not the same woman.
Oh, it's a different woman. Oh,
It's a different woman, which I realized while editing because I got had still image of her and was like, oh, that's definitely not the same. Somebody also noted it in the comments. It's not the same woman. We never learned the name of the woman he slept with.
that's worse, it feels like.
Yeah, it kind of is. Like fitting, maybe, but also, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we jump ahead, and Chief is working on a raptor. And he's having flashbacks while he's working to times with Callie. We then cut
you,
over.
you say times with Callie, like, let's be clear. There's like moments where like he remembers like her coming down, like when he was in that kind of position working on stuff, and then he remembers beating the ever loving shit out of her in the hangar bay. Like it's a mix of stuff.
He's feeling a lot. He's feeling many man emotions right now.
He's the man has a lot of feelings right now.
hmm he's having man pain, Vera. Let him deal with his man pain. Anyways, he's having that. Um, then we cut over to basically the kind of the raptor he was working on is going out with racetrack. Something is messes up on it, and it causes them to have a really bad crash landing, nearly getting them all killed. I actually thought they had died because it like slams into the deck at one
Yeah,
point.
and then like part of it blows up. Yeah, I had wondered too. I'm like, did they just kill Racetrack? No, they didn't.
Yes.
But
Um, Then we jump over to Baltar back in his cult, and he's yelling at a Galactica officer, being like, "Are you gonna do anything about this? It's clearly a fundamentalist splinter group." And he sort of reads, Head Six sort of prompts him to read some of the graffiti that's on there. It's called Sons of Ares.
yeah,
Um,
not in English. It's like I think she says something like, "You remember how to read the old languages" or something like that.
Yes. And he starts going at the officer like they're trying to protect the old gods or whatever. And Head Six says, "Old gods die hard, even among your people." And he looks over and there's this older woman sort of watching all of this. And he goes over to her and he says, "Oh, well, what's your name? I remember your name. It starts with an M, right?" And she's like, "Lily."
I actually really like that she smiles right before she says that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
But
it's just a little small acting choice from her that I really love.
yeah. And he goes, "What's in your hand, Lily?" And she opens it up and she has a totem to Celephus? Celephus? I don't know how to say that god's name.
It's the staff that you see on like doctor seals and medical things. It's the thing with the two snakes. It's that thing.
Yeah, yeah. God of healing.
Yes.
And so he's sort of realizing she's praying to one of the older gods. And he's like, she says, "I know you'll heal our people, but I thought and she sort of trails off, sort of meaning like, I think maybe praying to this god might also help, you know. So, and then Head Six says the old gods are fighting back. So basically,
Yeah.
this idea that like people are still relying on faith to the old gods as opposed to the one true god that Baltar is trying to get them all to believe in.
Yeah. And I don't know how I feel about this entire plot angle. Like it makes sense, and it's not even necessarily a bad angle to go at. It's just that for as omnipresent talk of God and the gods has been in this show, it hasn't, other than like when they were specifically following um Roslyn, like as part of a prophecy thing, which was like two goddamn seasons ago now, it hasn't been as much of a drive. It's been way more of a background element by and large.
Hmm.
And while it's been omnipresent for sure, so it's not like it comes out of nowhere. I there's part of me that's like, I don't know how I feel about the religious turmoil taking center stage. I'm not sure how I feel about that. And it's not like you can't do it well. It feels the level of prominence it's given in this episode, and I presume episodes to follow based off where this goes, it feels it feels less like an organic evolution of where the story is going, and feels more like, shit, we're running out of time to do this stuff. Quick, get it in.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. There is one element of the storyline I do really like. We'll get there though. Um, but yes, I agree with you broadly speaking. So
Which unfortunately just makes it feel even more like the telepath story in Babylon 5, which makes
yeah,
me very nervous.
yeah, we'll see, we'll see. Someone's cribbing from Babylon 5's notes. At least Baltar makes way more sense than fucking Byron. So
Baltar is a better character than Byron. At the very least, this has that going for it. I'll
yeah,
give it that. But like, that's a part of Babylon 5 nobody should be taking notes from.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, we then to Chief checking out why the Raptor crashed, and he realizes that he forgot to swap out an important part, so it's his fault. Um, and the co-pilot with Racetrack, he initially starts to yell at Chief, like, "We could have died," you know. And then Racetrack says, "Hey, hey, no, it's okay, it's fine, we're good." Um, and you know the guy, Skulls is his name, I put in my notes here, he clearly is like still perturbed, but it's like, yeah, it's fine, great, it's whatever, I'll let it go. But then Chief starts yelling at him. He's like, "You can tell me I fracked up." And someone says, I think it was the guy who's like his second in command, the chief second in command behind him, he's like, "You're only human," which is just the worst thing he possibly could have said. But he's like, "Tell me I fracked up," and no one will say anything. They all sort of like leave, like Racetrack heads out and yells at like cowards. Figursky is the guy's name. That's his second in command. He's like, "Hey, maybe you should take a little downtime," and he's like, "Get out of the Raptor, Figursky." So
Yep. This note has nothing to do with anything, but and I had to go back and double check the captions on this. But the way the scene opens, they're like looking through stuff, and I think it's Figursky who's like, be careful with that capacitor. It's like it's still hot or something. But it's because there's like other stuff going on in the background, and like,
mhm.
the pop of sparks or whatever is like, I would have sworn he said flux capacitor.
That's
But I
really
went
funny.
back and checked the captions, like, no, it's that capacitor. But with the background, I was like, I was prepared to swear
It
he
would have been
called
a fun. It would
apart.
have been a funny. It would have been a funny Easter egg. So yeah, yeah. Um, we then cut over to Head Six. Is talking to Baltar in his temple as like his people are sort of cleaning up from the attack. And Head Six sort of says, you know, people have a heart for one. You are the old gods. And he's like, you know, why can't I just be a man? You know, I don't want to take on the gods single-handed. And Head Six, well, yeah, but well, think of what kind of man you be. You'll be almost, you know, you'll be almost godlike himself or whatever. And it's like it's. And then Baltar says something very un-Baltar-like. He says it's not about that at all. And he says it's about this. And he like looks around at the people cleaning up. Um, and he goes, "Stop." And he started speaking to everyone. This is unacceptable. We've been the target because of what we believe. We've been made to, they want us to answer to faceless gods. They want us to be afraid. I'm tired of being afraid. Time to make a stand, and that time is now. And he just sort of heads right out of the room. Um, and he heads to a temple service that's happening in the temple that we were in earlier on in the episode. And she's like, "Hey, we're in the middle of like service right now." He's like, "Oh yes, well, who are you serving? Zeus, who is a serial rapist, if I might add," which I found funny. Because true,
Yeah, true.
yeah.
True of many of them, actually. He's probably the worst on that particular front. But yeah, it actually came up in the live stream that I had earlier today. I forget how the subject of the Greek gods came up, but I went out for a little while. Like, they're all terrible.
Oh
Even
yeah.
your favorite one is terrible. Even Athena was like, "Oh, wise goddess." No, she's terrible too. They're all horrible people.
It's one of the things I loved about the God of War games. Like they're all fucking terrible. I stand by the fact that pretty much every God of War game is great. And it's actually like, yes, the original three are like testosterone the game, but it directs that testosterone anger at the proper target, which is the elite class above you who are all just pieces of shit. So
Not,
maybe, yeah.
not to mention the first game actually made a point with that too.
Yes, yes. Well, I think the second game I think is the least of them that does the point, but the third one actually makes a point of it too, because it's he goes after and tries to kill all the gods and destroy them, and it turns out he was just being like used by Athena, and it just ends up being horrible for fucking everybody because he's just doing it in a directionless way instead of actually like caring about people.
Yeah, but the first game made a better point, basically saying, "So you're gonna take down the murderous monster by becoming a murderous monster. How's that gonna work out for you, buddy?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I agree. But I actually it's maybe I'll do a video on it someone because they're remaking them. But the third game does make a really good point that like we talk a lot about that like 10 thing in Hollywood where like, oh, vengeance is like there's that trope of like, oh, the revolutionary who just wants vengeance and being used to just sort of dismiss all revolutionary politics is like a trope that happens. So it's
Yeah,
like, the worst one would be like the flag
flag
smashers
smashers. Yeah,
from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That trope is really terrible and ubiquitous and used to be like, oh, well, all revolutionaries just want to destroy the status quo. You got to do it the civil way. Tell your senator to do better, and that'll fix things. Um, I actually don't mind God of War 3. This is a complete tangent, but I don't mind God of War 3 because it is making a similar point of like Kratos just wants revenge, but we are actually on his side. And the thing makes a point of like what he's doing is not necessarily bad in killing these pieces of shit because they're all pieces of shit. Where he makes a mistake is he's not doing it to protect like the actual people who are going to suffer by just him like removing all of these like systems of power and everything at once. Like by killing off Hades, it causes the water levels to rise and like all the people on Earth like start drowning, and it's like
yeah.
a
I mean,
repeated thing.
that's why I don't like the third one, especially. It's a
It's
bit
bleak.
too.
It's
Yeah,
bleak.
it's
Yes,
it's a bit too nihilistic for my taste.
it
Like,
is. But
there's
but but
awful shit that happens in the first game, but it just circles back right onto him again.
yes, but that continues into the next two games that get released, God of War and God of War Ragnarok, the new ones, and they make a point of continuing that same thread where it's like his son is about to do the same thing of like we need to kill the gods out of revenge because of what they did, and he's like, no, why we kill like we still should kill them, but how and why actually matters. It matters why and how we kill them and who we protect and what we're doing it for in order to kill them. And it makes a really good point about that in like a healing way. And I actually think like those games are really, really great just taken as a complete arc on those points. So
Mhm.
also they have a bisexual dwarf in the second new one, and I love her to death.
All right then.
So, anyways, yeah, God of War games, they're pretty good. I like them a lot, except for Ascension. Don't play Ascension. That one's bad. That was in that era of like PlayStation 3 games where like, well, the franchises we all did are done, but we need to make another game anyways, so this is just one of those. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You,
Anyways,
you can skip the two prequel games too that were done for like PS Vita or whatever.
yeah, I actually don't. Those games are fine.
They're fine.
They're
They're
skippable.
fine. They're inessential.
They're inessential. I think they're worth. I think they were interesting as a it's God of War you can play on the PSP. That was fun for me as a kid. So like they're they're fun to play if you can play them on a handheld when you're 10 years old traveling in a car and get to play your favorite game series. They're less so now.
Yeah.
So, they were let me put it this way, they were good novelty, an impressive technical feat for their time. Um, anyways, a riot breaks out at the temple. Cut to later on, Roslyn is getting a blood test at Doc Cottle's, and Adama comes in, and he's like, "Oh," she's like, "Oh, I'm just getting a blood test. You know, it's not anything." And you didn't need to read me a book this time. And he's like, "Oh, well, it's one of my favorites, Sea Rider Falcon." And he's like, "I never read the ending." And she's like, "Oh, well, I thought you said it was one of your favorites." And it's like, "Yes, I'm saving it." And then she says, "Well, maybe I could do that." And then there's an awkward pause, and it's like, oh, yeah, maybe bad idea, maybe not. Get it? Because she's gonna die. She's gonna be dead, and so she better read the ending.
Yeah.
Um. Anyways, Baltar's back at home in the. Oh, sorry. Adama's mentioning to her like Baltar's back in at home in the brig again. Because he's desecrating the temple and everything. And Adama says, well, I have people tracking down the Sons of Ares. But Baltar is going out of his way. Rosin's saying he's going out of his way to provoke people and start a religious war. And they're sort of talking like, there's 30,000 people left and we're not happy unless we're kicking other people in. And, we'll keep him in lockdown for his own safety because I don't want him to martyr himself. And she's like,
Well, no, Adama suggests keeping him in lockdown for his own safety, which Rosalind shoots down, saying, "No, you'll make him a martyr."
yes, because he's girly groupie sex, whatever is how she describes it.
Yeah.
Wilth already thinks of him as a god, so she says she's going to go to the brig to see him.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on, we have Tigh goes and sees Six again, Caprica Six. And he says, "You asked what I want. I want to know what it's like to kill billions of people, have the blood of billions of people on your hand." And she's like, "I feel it. You really think I couldn't?" And Ty's like, "Do you turn it off like a switch?" And she's like, "Well, you talk like we're different, but we're not." And at this point, because we have to go to a commercial break and raise the stakes, Tigh has his guards raise their weapons at her.
Yep.
So, but interesting because clearly Tigh is wanting to numb himself for because of his feelings around Helen.
Yep.
I gotta find this word. What's the word? One second. Tigh, numbing self. Not Tigh. Numbing yourself through trauma. God, there is a goddamn word, and I don't know what it's called. Disassociation. Disassociating.
Ah,
That's the
okay.
word I was looking for. Disassociating. Chief was disassociating earlier, and Tigh is trying to learn how to disassociate from his pain. Um, anyways, Chief is working in the cargo bay area, and someone says, "Oh, you're working late or up early?" And he doesn't answer, and it's clearly very tense, so he just moves on.
Well,
Uh,
my note at that point, and it doesn't matter, but I did find myself wondering, does he actually need to sleep? Like we know the Cylons can sleep,
mhm.
but does he need to? I actually don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We've seen all of them sleep, like they have beds on the Cylon thing, presumably.
Yeah, so we know that they can, but is that a necessity or is that a habit from just trying to be human?
Who knows?
That there's a lot of versions of vampires have it so vampires can eat normal food. They just
Hmm.
don't have to.
Hmm. We then jump back to Tigh and Six, and she's like, "Look, it's veins, not wires. We're the same, except for that one time that
Two
Boomer,
times, two
yeah,
times.
yeah, Boomer put wires in her veins. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, let's just pretend that never fucking happened. Yeah, I did immediately write down that line of like bullshit.
Hmm.
Again, like a line like that is very clear that not only did they not have all this worked out in advance, they're hoping we have forgotten some of the shit they did because now that they know where they're going with it, they realize they did some shit that actually does not gel with what they've now decided they're doing.
Yes. Well, Ty starts to see Helen again, and you say, "Do you see that we're the same?" And then Ty says, "Well, then tell me how you live with what you've done." And then Helen Six says, "Are you asking for absolution, forgiveness? I can give that to you. Tell me what the trouble is." And he sees regular Six again, and he says, "You have nothing to offer me. We're not the same." So,
She gets quite close to him for that.
yep. We then have Baltar getting seen by Roslin. He's waking up in his cell. And he's like, "Oh, it looks like I guess the president has been made aware of my situation. What are you going to do? Strip search me?" And she's like, "Well, it's being looked into. It really is, aggressively. I want you to look at me, Gaius. This is a wig. I'm dying. If you look at my eyes, you can see it too." And he's like, "I'm very sorry." And she's like, "I don't want your pity. I'm going to aggressively pursue the people who attacked you and limit pub." And I wrote this down. Limit public assemblies to protect your people. And I wrote, that better be addressed. Thankfully, it is.
It is,
Yes.
thank goodness.
But I'm going to slip away from this life, and I'm curious what it's like. And I did my research, and people who are about to die stop usually caring about rules and laws and conventional morality. And Baltar's like, "Are you threatening me?" And she says, "No, I just saying if you have a quiet life, and I'll have a quiet life. I'm not in a mood to indulge you, and that's all. You're being released, so stay safe." So very much reads like a threat.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. We then have Adama going to the bar where Chief is having drinks. And he sort of sits down next to the chief. And he says, "Hey, Chief, we all miss her. I understand if you need more time off or more shifts. As some people don't know what they necessarily need." And he goes, and then Chief goes, "I don't need special treatment." And then Adama says, and this is a hallucination, which is what you were pointing at earlier. Adama says, "I guess you just couldn't take it being married to a Cylon mother to a half-breed abomination." So we finally get a note of dealing with what Nikki is there.
Yeah.
So,
First
uh,
one,
yeah,
and it's hallucinatory. We'll see if the chief circles back onto that.
yep. But then we cut back, and it's Adama is not hallucin. It's Adama did not actually say that Chief was hallucinating. And he says Callie was a good woman. And then Chief says, "If you really believe that, you wouldn't have threatened to shoot her, put her up against a bulkhead and shoot her," referring back to the labor episode that we talked about last season. Um, And then he goes, "Well, I thought about doing the same thing myself many times. How many of us ended up with people we wanted to be with? We did the best with limited options because we were who we really wanted are dead or dying or Cylons. If Boomer had," and then Adama sort of like tries to interrupt. It's like, "I don't know, I don't know, so I buried my head. I didn't know," referring to Boomer. So I buried my head in the sand and I settled for that shriek of a woman, the boiled cabbage stench of her. It's fine. I didn't pick this life." And Adama's like, "What the hell has gotten into you? Don't do this. Don't do this to her memory." And Chief says, "I won't make an angel out of someone who wasn't an angel. You're not in my club. You don't ask the right fracking questions." So he's like, he's like, "I'm going to go leave." He says, "I'm going to leave." And he's like, "Yeah, go take care of what you actually care about. Go take care of this ship." And I forget exactly what Dama says, but Chief sort of keeps provoking him. He's like, "Do it, please, demote me. Get me off." And he's like, and then Adama sort of does what kind of Chief has been provoking him to do. He says, "I want you off my hangar deck. You are to report for reassignment."
Yeah. Now, I'm a little mixed on this
Hmm.
because, on the one hand, I actually kind of like that somebody has finally brought up the point that really any of these romantic pairings is a making the best out of limited options
Hmm.
situation. Like, if you don't find someone to be with out of the, you can't even say, however many thousands of people on the fleet, like the couple of thousand people on this damn ship, then you're just going to be alone. And I actually think that is a real interesting point to bring up, especially in the wake of how many of these relationships have just been fucking terrible. And it's a point I kind of wish somebody would have made earlier. And I also think it's interesting to make in connection to him, in theory, mourning his wife. That said, while I'm not going to go so far as to say it's bad, I am going to just be upfront and say I have discomfort with that being channeled through the kind of misogynistic vitriol that
Hmm.
he is spewing out, which I'm not even going to say is like inappropriate to the
Hmm.
situation or the character. I wasn't comfortable watching or hearing it though.
Yeah, no, absolutely fair. Yeah, the whole like boiled cabbage smell of her and shriek of a woman sort of thing was,
Yeah,
yeah.
like it was those kinds of lines in particular where like he got very personal with it. And again, I'm not even going to say that they shouldn't have written it like that because it's obvious that like he's just dredging up shit that he just has not dealt with.
Hmm.
And so I get it, but just like, watching a man spew his hatred to a dead woman that he theoretically loved it's just uncomfortable. I mean, and like discomfort can be something that you invoke on purpose.
Hmm.
I don't know whether or not they were here. I don't have enough faith in this show and these writers to think that they knew what they were doing. But I will admit that my discomfort doesn't make it bad, and you can actually wield that to useful ends.
Yes.
I'm not
Well,
sure this does, but you can.
yes, yes. It fits with what Chief is going through. I guess I'll at least give it that, so it doesn't come off as overtly just misogynistic fuck Callie sort of stuff from the show itself. But whether it'll examine it deeply, we'll see. Um, we jump over to Quorum session on Colonial One, and Lee is sort of like going up against Rosalind, pointing out like you bulldoze this through the Quorum, meaning her crowd control measure that she was talking about earlier to Baltar. You know, he's like, this is his cult was attacked. It was brutal. This is and Rosin's like, well, this is a measure designed to protect those people, not helping them gather in mass. And Lee's like, well, it targets his people by also allows more mainstream worship. Um, and Rosin's like, well, wherever Baltar is, violence happens, and if he doesn't cause it, he draws it. My job is to keep the people safe. And Lee sort of points out, like, well, this resolution could be used to, could this resolution be used to offshoot religious cases? And Rosin's like, no, no, he's a special case. And he's like, well, we're treating him as a special case. And then other Quorum members start bringing up, like, well, there's other religions, like this is his followers aren't too far off from Mithra's followers that are part of our constituency. Can this be used against them? And other people start bringing that up. And basically, Lee says we can open this up to a quorum vote, and Rosin's like, no, I'm not going to let that happen. It's like, well, we can override your choose. Oh, sorry, excuse me. He asks, are you going to open this up to a quorum vote? She says no, and he says we can override that. So he opens it up to a vote. And Rosin sort of has this big moment. It's like, you can go back to the Constitution, your constituency, and say, we, the people, have triumphed, but what will it cost you? We have to remember when Baltar had power on New Caprica, what will he do with religious power? You know what this man will do with blind religious devotion.
I actually find this whole thing really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am glad, like you, I am glad that there is pushback being given on the whole idea of these crowd control measures and whatnot, because yeah, that's something that should be examined. And the way it's being examined is very interesting. I fear it's not going to do anything else with it because this issue is kind of resolved by the end of this episode, which is a shame because I'd want to see it further explored in a pretty specific way,
Mm-hmm.
which is that is what she is doing an overreach of power? Yes, it is. The idea of simply banning, gatherings, more than so many people, even if you are trying to do it in a way that specifically targets this one group you're afraid of, that is something that can be wielded against others as well, even if you are either saying you won't or designing it so you shouldn't be able to. That doesn't mean that it can't happen. But at the same time, the side of it that is present, but I would like to see explored, but I also don't think it will, is the paradox of tolerance issue, which is that there is a specific group led by a specific man who is dangerous. And they tried to prosecute him as an individual and it didn't work. And doing nothing and just affording him every protection that everyone else has allows the potential damage that he and the things he is saying and doing to spread further. Now, like, I'm not claiming this is what Baltar is, but it's the kind of thing that, well, yeah, religious extremists, but also political extremists and Nazis hide under. It's like, well, if they silence me, they'll silence you too. You have to let me say my Nazi shit.
Mm-hmm.
And while Baltar is not there himself personally making that case, it is a similar overall dynamic. And boy, I haven't said this in a while about this show. I like that it is messy from either side, that there
Yeah.
isn't, like, you could make an argument that from a broad moral perspective, Rosalind is wrong. But as she is going to say later,
I was gonna say she makes the exact argument later. Yeah.
there are massive logistical concerns that don't care what your morals are. And I actually, it's been a while since they have let a messy situation stay messy, and I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. Um, but
Not
we
really. Again, as I said,
well, what
this
I
specific thing is largely resolved by the end of this episode.
yes, but will some aspect of it will continue if I recall correctly. Um, anyways, we then have Ty watching Six slash Helen sleep. And sort of Six gets woken up and is kind of surprised to see him there because he's being a creeper. And she says, "Should I get you used to waking up to this face?" He's like, "I just wanted an informal chat." And she's like, "Yeah, just you, me, and the cameras." And we sort of get a shot showing that the camera people are still watching. And he's like, "You haven't answered my question. I want to know how." She's like, "Do you want to know how I work? Turn off the pain." And she goes, "I want the pain. It's how I learn. You know, I was instrumental in the destruction of humanity, but at the same time, I learned. I fell in love with a human man. He was moral and fallible." And all this is said in as Helen to Ty. So Ty is sort of relating it to himself, even though we know
I don't
Six
want
is,
my pain taken away. I need my
"I need
pain.
my pain." Is he's saying this? So Helen Six is saying this to Ty, even though this is what Caprica Six is saying about Baltar. She's like, "I fell in love with him. You know, I loved him with my full heart, and I realized I wouldn't have him forever. And I understood how I betrayed him and humanity, and that pain could understand death." Baltar was, you know, it's like she says something. He's like, Baltar was a fragile, is his fragile body. He had a fragile body or whatever. And as soon as she brings up Baltar, Ty like stands up. It's like, "We're not talking about the fragile body of Gaius fucking Baltar, Frak and Baltar." Um, and he sort of like goes over to her and gets agitated. And she's like, "I can tell you how to turn it off. The guilt, there's wisdom, clarity. Our minds are designed based on your minds. We've learned things. When you're in pain, that's why that's when you learn who you are. Your focus is sharp as a knife." And she takes off his eye patch. You can see with that where his eye was, and she says, "I can give you clarity again."
Mm-hmm.
So Ty's just going through it. Baltar tries to go into his cult, where they sleep, and there's a guard and saying, "I can't let you in. There's already 12 people inside. I can't let you inside because of the emergency provision." And he's like, "Well, like this is where I live. This is where I sleep. Like, what do I want to do?" And like some people try to leave, but the guard says, "Nope, we can't let you. Nope, we won't let you." Um, and Head Six says, "Step forward and make a stand." And Balthazar's like, "I don't want to be here. I just want to go to bed." She's like, "Step forward and you won't be hurt." And so Guy's like,
She lied.
"Yeah." He's like, "All right." And he goes forward and gets punched in the face. And we like see blood coming from his mouth as he's pushed down.
You say punch. I think he actually gets hit with the butt of the gun.
Yeah. Yeah. He was hit hard, regardless. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, Back over to Ty. He says, you know, as soon as Six is sort of getting close to him, he says, "Get your hands off me, you freak machine." And then Six, I think earlier at some point. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier. In the last scene, Ty had sent the guards and the camera people away because it won't make sense for what's about to happen otherwise.
Yeah. Otherwise, none of it would make any sense.
Yes. But yes, Six, when he does that, when he reacts negatively to her getting close to him, she punches him in the face. And I just wrote in my notes, finally, she gets to sock somebody instead of the women getting punched here. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then she's like, "Can you feel it?" And she gets on top of him, feel the clarity of it, and she keeps punching him over and over and over again.
Yep.
Hmm. Back to Head Six and Baltar. And again, I just like this juxtaposition because it's like a very different performance from Trisha Helfer as Head Six and Caprica Six. Juxtaposed so right next to each other was interesting. Anyways, she's like, you know, if you get back up, the gain will outweigh the cost. And Baltar's like, "I really just want to stay down." Um, and then Head Six picks him up. And just to note,
Yeah.
when we cut to Baltar where we don't see Head Six, it still very clearly looks like he is being lifted and floated a little bit.
Yeah. Like they it does not, it's shot. You can't see his feet. So we don't know how steady his feet are. But like she's got him under the pits, and he's like, ugh. And even his jacket is all like bunched up in the back, like it's being lifted up.
Mm-hmm.
Which, okay.
Mm-hmm. 'Tis interesting.
Uh,
Um, 'tis interesting. Um, and he goes to like as he's being lifted, he goes to confront the guard again, and I think the guard doesn't hit him because Lee comes in right at this point, right before Baltar is about to get hit again, and he's like, "Nope, I've just come back from the quorum. He's got full right of assembly is restored. You can go back in." He says to Baltar, "No one will stop you." Baltar says to Lee, "Thank you," and Lee says, "I don't do these things for you." And Baltar's response says, "You do them because your God compels you." So,
mhm.
mm-hmm. We then cut over to Roslyn and Adama talking. Roslyn is getting her chemo treatment, and she sort of is complaining about Lee. She says he has no idea there are pragmatic realities he refuses to face, basically what you were talking about earlier. And Adama's like, well, that's the problem. Of course, he's doing what he thinks is right. And Roslyn's like, yeah, he probably is doing the right thing, but sometimes the right thing is a luxury. We might have dangerous consequences. Sometimes the right thing has dangerous consequences, like he doesn't want that to be true. So basically, kind of the argument that you made earlier.
Yeah.
Need
Which
to find.
again, I the way the show frames it, I don't know if the show realizes that she has as much of a point as she does. Because I again, visually and structurally, it is still making Lee the righteous man. And
Mm-hmm.
even have her point out he probably is right. And like the fact that she's like kind of flustered a little bit in the scene, just through cinematic language, kind of it seems designed to lean the audience in the direction of assuming that Lee is in fact right.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, that's fine. The show's allowed to take a position on that. It's just I think they thought this was a cleaner moral situation than it is. Even as they have a character make the insistence that it's not that simple, it is a character that as the last few episodes have gone on, the show has been slowly whittling away the moral credibility of.
Yeah, I will be curious to see how this all shakes out because I know a storyline that's going to come up that's going to obviously this is going to be a building thing with like
Yeah.
is Roslin becoming more authoritarian sort of thing going on. And I'm going to try to remember to see how it comes down on it because I honestly am curious because the way I remember the story going, I kind of feel like it could go either way or have let me put it this way. One of people's favorite storylines from this show, that is a broad arc, not a specific episode, is all of this stuff with Rosalind that we're going to be building to something specific. I won't say what it is, but I remember what happens, and I'm like, maybe it threads the needle well. We'll see. I see it could like threading the needle well, at least in a way that's not like fucking bungles it awfully like the show has so often had. It probably won't go. It won't go so far as to be like let's do anarchism, but it might thread the needle in a way that's a little bit more interesting. I feel it might. We'll see. I don't remember too much, so.
And like the other thing I'll mention is, and like this is part of why I'm not sure that the show and the writers fully appreciate the situation that they've created,
Mm-hmm.
because her line, sometimes the right thing is a luxury, is not a sentiment I disagree with,
Mm-hmm.
broadly speaking. However, it does land different coming from someone in power versus
Yes.
somebody who isn't. It
Yes.
means something very different coming from the president than coming from a citizen.
Yes. Very much so. Which sometimes the show seems to recognize, sometimes it doesn't.
And
Um,
flip a coin, man. No,
yeah,
not even that. What do we need? Roll a d8, a 7 or 8. It gets it right.
yeah. Um, anyways, Adama starts to read the next chapter of the book, and he's like, "I'm warning you, I've gotten to the part I haven't read yet." She's like, "Are you going to be able to continue?" And he starts as and then his book is clearly thematically fitting in with what the rest of this is going on. He says, I was afraid of the emptiness I felt inside. That's what scared me. You came in to fill my thoughts. You filled them, and it felt good." So it's like there's a bit more to it than that, but that was basically the thematic through line of it
Yeah.
that related to this. Adama's got feelings for Roslyn. Oh, no. And also, it relates to the religious stuff as well. God
Hmm.
coming into you and entering into you and penetrating you. We all love it when God penetrates you. Uh, anyways, I'm sorry. Uh, Ty is on the ground getting beaten up by Six, and he asks for more. He's like, keep going. And then Six says, no, I made a mistake. This isn't what you need. And she goes in and kisses him.
This was good. This was good
Yeah, it
up
was really
until
great.
this.
Yep,
No,
until
it
that
was
point.
it it was it like his guilt and how he was seeing her and the way that things that she would say would could apply to her or to Helen, and how it would snap him out of it the instant she said something that Helen would not have said, and the notion of grounding through pain, not necessarily something I believe, but an interesting angle to take, especially with him confronting somebody who probably in the most direct fashion of any of the Cylons helped commit a genocide. And it's like, how do you live with that? And like it's all really interesting. And then Ronald D. Moore is gonna fucking Ronald D. Moore.
He's gonna Ronald D. Moore all over it. Also, speaking of which, it's funny because I don't think he's a showrunner on the show anymore. But For All Mankind, um, did I've been watching that show, and episode 2 of this season had a character do a reference to Battlestar Galactica, being like, "Sometimes you got to roll the hard six," and then there was a character being like, "What the fuck does that mean?" Which is kind of
Yeah.
funny. So, um,
And like this does hold up my theory that there literally cannot be a storyline between a man and a woman that does not include sexual tension in Ronald
yep.
D. Moore's mind. There literally cannot be. It's
Mm-hmm.
literally fucking impossible.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, Baltar then is talking to his cult and he starts to give a speech. He says, I'm not a priest. I'm not even a particularly good man. I have, in fact, been a profoundly selfish man, but that doesn't matter. Something in the universe loves me. Something in this universe loves the entity that is me. I will choose to call this God. There's a singular spark that lives inside the soul of every living being. You will find it in yourself. You have to look deep. Have your faults. You have your faults. Embrace them, because if God embraces them, how can they be faults? Love yourself. And if we know about ourselves, we can learn about others, and we know the truth about them. And the truth about them, about you, about me, is that we are all perfect just as you are. He loves you because you are perfect just as you are. As he's giving the speech, we see Lee and Tori watching it. We also see Starbuck over on the Demetrius with Anders there, as well as the Chief. I think in his quarters. I forget where Chief was, but Chief was sort of in his quarters. And that's the end of the episode. Interesting on this speech, though, before I go into overall thoughts, I won't do a spoiler minute on this because I kind of said what I was going to say in vague fashion. Um, but this does sort of fit within like Kabbalistic sort of Jewish mysticism stuff, which is kind of interesting. Which is like we're all like God was one, and there's other religions that kind of have similar things as well to this. But God was a singular being and wanted to know something that was not God, so created life, and all we are sparks of not God, but God, and we're just all little sparks of God himself coming back together to recognizing ourselves, and like to know yourself is to know a part of God, and to know others is to know a part of God, and you relate to yourself. It's an interesting sort of like, I'm oversimplifying a lot of it, but there's sort of like Jewish mysticism kind of stuff being related here, which I find kind of interesting.
So for that aspect of it, sure. The part that I latched on was, the phrase, you are perfect the way you are. We are perfect the way we are. Now, this is obviously connects to because Tori literally said the same thing, and Baltar literally expressed being afraid of this concept before.
Hmm.
I will be curious to see whether or not the show is going to confront how easily that concept can be twisted and how dangerous it is when it is.
Yeah.
Because there is, of course, the positive version of that. Like, there is nothing fundamentally wrong or broken about you. You're perfect just the way you are. Awesome. Great. it's not that hard to twist that with people being like, yes, I do these awful things, but God loves me anyway because God made me this way and I'm perfect as I am, even with all my flaws, as I hurt people, as I do things that are wrong and harmful. God still loves me. So it's okay. God loves my faults too. Or I can't let this one pass. Speaking as a trans person, oh, but you're perfect the way you are. Why are you changing yourself? That's not what God wants. Bitch, God didn't make bread, God made wheat. God expects us to take things and make them better. So fuck you.
Yes, yes, to all of that. I let me put it this way. I know for sure because it's already being set up. This isn't spoiler. It's already being set up here with Tori being very much clearly like, I am perfect the way I am, so anything I do is justified. Clearly, like that's what Tori's mentality is. Um,
Yes.
and
And I'm hoping that that's actually going to be examined as opposed to just a thing that's there.
Yes. And Baltar, and I liked this, is he is pointing out the facts like we have faults. Like, and the faults are part of who you are. Like, embrace the faults, but not as an excuse, but to acknowledge faults. And it's coming more from a sense of Baltar is a guy who is starting to change, whether how far he will change, but like there's been signs so far. Like even in this episode of like him being like, it's not about like me being the one who gets to like get credit here and being like the person who gets seen as like godlike. It's about protecting these people. So like there's clearly something happening in terms of his character changing here and him about like acknowledging his faults while also like seeing them as part of himself sort of thing. So I like that there's like a Tory Baltar ideology sort of clash coming. I wish Tories had been more justified beyond like if we she had a it's justified by the fact she's learning she's a Cylon, she's embracing that part of herself. I wish it was more we knew who the fuck she was as a person before this point.
Tori does not have a character arc. Tori has just suddenly developed a character.
Yes. So yes, there's that aspect of it, but that part of that is interesting, and sort of very clearly there based on what you were saying. The other aspect of it, which is like the God made you perfect as you are element in your body as you are, I try to remember if that comes up. I mean, clearly it obviously can because of the like very clear metaphorical allusions to like Cylons were made by man and made in their image, that sort of stuff. Like that's clearly there. And I know there's a storyline where that could actually no. I will say no. That exact point 100% will be brought up. And
Okay.
I actually know for a fact it will be brought up. So, yep. And I will
Okay.
not say any more because I know I was about to walk myself into a corner that commenters were going to yell at me at. Because I'm like, how could you forget this? And I did not. So we're good. Yes, all of that will be brought up. I think the weakest part of it is just the fact that Tori does not have a character. So
Yes, but I mean, she now has a character, but this should be a shift in her character as opposed to here's some character. And like, it's not like she was a bad presence before the Cylon reveal, but she was just kind of there.
she had enough personality for a character who is like back like a tertiary character to a main character. Like she was on the sidelines, so like, yeah, I remember you. You have a presence. You're fine, but you're not like a like given enough arc and storyline to really get a sense of you.
See, you say she has a personality. I'm going to refine that slightly. I would say
The actress does.
the actress brought personality to it. I think there's fucking nothing on the
Oh,
page.
for sure. Rekha Sharma's great. Like I told you this, I think I mentioned this a few episodes ago, a while ago. I saw her as part of a group of people performing Twilight Zone episodes readings, and she did a fucking fantastic job. She played the little evil devil kid in the Twilight Zone episode, and she was so good in it. Also, she has a minor character in Star Trek Discovery, and she's great there too, even though she is only in like a few episodes there and is a kind of background character in that as well. So
Yeah, I just have a strong feeling that whatever personality this character had prior to the Cylon reveal was pretty much entirely down to her, and the writers didn't give her anything until this.
yes, actress is great, and she made a meal of it. So it's probably why they gave her a bigger part. Like the actress being good is probably why they gave her a bigger part. So,
Good.
yeah. Anyways, that is everything. What did you think of the episode?
It's okay.
Yeah, that's my
Like
feeling as
it's
well. Yeah.
yeah, I like like a fair amount of this show overall, how I feel about this kind of depends on where it's going. So like I said, I am real hesitant about this entire like religious showdown that they seem to be building up towards. Um and how it turns out will like here's the thing. And I'm not going to do this, but so much of the show I would have a much better sense of what I thought about it if I rewatched it because there was so many things that went on and like I'm not sure where that's going. It could be interesting, or that's what I was saying early on. These days I'm way more negative because the show has let me down too many damn times. But I think I'd have a if I were to go back and rewatch stuff, I would have a much firmer stance to say good or bad because I know whether or not things done there went anywhere, meant anything, were a one off, were abandoned, were the start of one of the better ideas or whatnot. But since I don't have that, I'm watching this going, okay, in and of itself, it like if this is the start of a good arc, then it would be good. If it's the start of a bad arc, it would be bad. Like this episode in and of itself is it's not exactly neutral, but it's an episode that doesn't stand alone.
Yes.
This is a first step on a journey, and whether or not I like where this journey goes, that would be the answer to whether or not this first step is any good.
Yeah, I agree with you broadly. I don't have anything else to add. The only negative I mean, there's nothing in this episode that I outright hated other than the Tigh ending story of Ty's story.
Fucking
Um,
God damn it, Ron. God
um,
fucking damn it.
but everything else, like the Chief's trauma, PTSD stuff going on since search for identity and like all of that's solid. It's it's fine. Um, him spiraling out. I don't mind like again, Tori's a weak character in all of this, but I don't mind any of this stuff. And I like some of the stuff that it's exploring. Um, and we'll see how the rest of it goes in terms of how it plays out. Um, but we'll see. But yeah, I think it's a
Yep.
fine episode. Fine outside of the Tigh 6 ending. So
Yeah, I mean, like that bit
that's
is
bad. Everything else
yeah.
is fine to leaning good, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, fair enough.
yep. Alrighty. Anything else, Avira?
Yeah.
Stuff time then.
Stuff. You can find my stuff by looking for Council of Geeks. Patreon is what pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living. I am exploring possibilities of doing more Patreon exclusive content in future. So I'll have more announcements on that if I actually move forward with it. But regardless of whether or not I do that, the Patreon is what allows me to do the Council of Geeks YouTube channel as my living. New videos there every Saturday. Recent topics have included the Jonathan Majors starring Daily Wire movie being a glorious dumpster fire. The complications and difficulty of talking about the casting of a cis actor in a trans role for the third season of The Last of Us and why this one's a little bit more complicated than some other instances of it. A video on AI and whether or not sci-fi writers need to be adjusting how they talk about it in the wake of all the tech bro
Yeah, they should be using
nonsense.
more slurs, like you said in that video.
And so on. And yes, eventually the Doctor Who cliffhanger video. It'll be out before the Ferengi video's out. I feel like I can confidently say that.
We'll see. We'll
We'll
see.
see. We'll see. But all that stuff and more on the Council of Geeks channel. There's also the Break Room of Geeks. I have been reviewing the episodes of Daredevil Born Again, which has been really good. Thank God. Those have been going up, plus whatever else I have watched, listened to, read, or played lately. I also barely post on Blue Sky under Council of Geeks as well. That would be the geeky stuff. There's, of course, also the spicy stuff.
Also the spicy stuff.
And for that, you can look for Vera Wild.
Farewell.
Wild is spelled WYLDE.
YLD.
And you can find increasingly spicy content. You're just making yourself crack up. It's very
Increasingly,
adorable.
it's nothing to that's not part of the game. I can crack up as much as I want.
Increasingly spicy
Increasingly
content
spicy
on
content.
YouTube,
YouTube.
TikTok. To
TikTok.
me is I think at this point I'm actually on more spicy platforms than I am
Oh yeah, you're on a shit ton of
mainstream
spicy. Yeah, you're
ones.
on a bunch of spicy platforms. Which is good. Diversify that because fuck OnlyFans for recent stuff. I won't. I'll say it so that you don't have to. But fuck
Yeah,
all the shit going on with that.
yeah, no, I'd heard about that. Like, I'm not going to defend any of it. One thing that I will say, and I actually said this on as a comment on Dead Domain's video,
Mm.
um, is there isn't a heck of a lot of difference in how OnlyFans treats its content creators than how YouTube treats its.
Oh no, not at all. God no. It's just very blatant at the moment. But yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, the OnlyFans is pulling some nonsense that I don't want to get into, but
I
yeah.
get it. Yeah, yeah. No, I didn't mean to put you in a weird spot because it's fuck them. I'll say it, but I
Go ahead,
understand
you
why you.
say that.
Yeah. Anyways, you can find me at Jesse Digital on YouTube where I do video essay style of stuff. I will for sure have a video out, new video out by the time you listen to this because it is almost sent to me and I'm gonna from my new editor, Aronok, who was able to re-edit a video that was supposed to be done last month, but it will be out literally hopefully next Friday as of this recording, so it'll been out just a few days ago for all of you, so go check that out. Frankie video will come when it comes. You have Just Gender After Dark, where I do news, reviews, reactions. I'm also reviewing Daredevil Born Again. I will also be doing season reviews of Invincible, and as well as probably The Boys and For All Mankind, as well as a few others. I am also on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Nebula, which is the streaming service that houses my movie Identities, as well as the upcoming show Subliminal that I directed an episode of that you can check out sometime later this year. And then I'm on Patreon. I am also considering doing some Patreon exclusive content. I am almost certainly going to be doing a regular Q&A patron exclusive video starting next month. So if you want to get that, you can jump over there and ask me questions and get an extra video from me. I might start also a book club as well, where we will be reading half a book every month because I read a lot of books, and so I don't know if I can dedicate like reading a whole book for a book club every month, but I can definitely read half of one. So I'll probably also be doing that. So join me over on Patreon if you are interested in any of that stuff. Plus, also you get your name in videos, all of that fun jazz. Beyond all of that, Vera, anything else for you?
Nah,
All right. With all that said, I hope you all, my friends, live long and prosper. Mwah.
be seeing you.